Good morning. Welcome to the live streaming worship service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the worship committee, and I will be your worship associate today. We invite you to worship with us with an open mind and an open heart. As we enter into sacred time, created by our presence and shared intent, I invite you to get comfortable. Turn down your phones or other distracting devices, and make a conscious decision to set aside for this 1 hour the self-protective walls we all keep around our heart and our thoughts. Let us remember and explore together what has drawn us to this faith, or learn what this faith is about. And relax. Let the stresses of the outside world slip away as together we focus on this time together. And together we breathe. Although we are now a community connected largely by electronic means, one day we will be together again. Yet even now, we are those seekers with the yearnings to learn, to understand, to make the world a better place, and with the same desire for fellowship. And so we are here, seeking that living, interconnected web of which we are a part. Let go of the anxiety, the fears, the expectations of your own or others' making, and join us in this hour of beloved community. And so together we breathe. Our opening hymn this morning is Blue Boat Home. Please rise in spirit and join us. And because we are zooming this, nobody will know if we sing off key. For our call to worship, Please read with me one of our Unitarian Universalist covenantal poems. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and in freedom, to live in harmony with all the living creatures and plants of the earth. This do we affirm. Today, Bonnie McFarland will read for us a sermon written by Reverend Scott Alexander entitled, Getting Serious About Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Alexander said, I used to laugh when someone told jokes about how laid back and lax we Unitarian Universalists are about our religion. But I'm not laughing anymore. I've stopped laughing because I realize how terribly important it is for me to take my religious life seriously. As I reach midlife and approach my 50th birthday, I find myself increasingly compelled by life's vast spiritual questions and pressing ethical demands. I've stopped laughing because I believe with all my heart and soul, this troubled world desperately needs the compassionate and saving vision of Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Scott Alexander is an experienced, widely respected Unitarian Universalist minister. He was ordained in 1974 at the First Church of Holton, Maine, and served at several other UU churches before becoming the settled minister at the UU Fellowship of Vero Beach, Florida, where he is today. He has also served as an executive and a developer of continental programs and services at the Unitarian Universalist Association. Reverend Alexander has traveled widely within the UU denomination, speaking, preaching, and offering in-depth workshops on a variety of congregational and faith-related subjects. He has taught homiletics and the art of preaching in workshops to ministers and seminary students, and as an adjunct faculty member at Andover Newton Theological School, Massachusetts, and Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. He is the author of 5 books. Always a community activist, Reverend Alexander has offered leadership to many boards and other nonprofit leadership groups in many communities, including Planned Parenthood, the YMCA, Rotary International, AIDS/HIV service organizations, and MAPS, a nationwide adoption agency for older, hard-to-place children. Reverend Alexander is an endurance athlete who now bikes on a daily basis. Over the years, he completed 4 coast-to-coast charity bike rides. Reverend Alexander lives with his partner of more than 30 years, H. Collins Mikesell. Collins is a senior analyst for the Association of American Medical Colleges in Washington, D.C. But a quiet life the Reverend is not resigned to. If the sermon piques your interest, do a search for his name and you will find some interesting current articles and blogs. He did a sermon on the inauguration of our current president and has become increasingly outspoken, resulting in, among others, an article in the New Yorker magazine. There are a few announcements we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several website and email addresses and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information so you don't need to copy things down right now. However, for those needing the information by auditory means, they will be announced verbally during the service. Chat time provides an opportunity to spend an hour talking among ourselves, usually beginning with the service, then wandering on to other topics. It's held on Zoom at 11:30. To participate, go to our website at uuchurchofriverside.org for a separate Zoom chat time link. On the first Sunday of each month, we share with you the joys and concerns that we have received throughout the month. That's next Sunday, November 1st. Be sure to email or text your joys and concerns throughout the month to our Caring Network Coordinator, Dinah Rowe. Her email is ramblingrose22@yahoo.com. Or you can text her at 909-645-2885. Unitarian Universalists around the country are organizing for the Week of Action, October 21st to 27th. It is a big final get out the vote push, and they need your help. They are focusing on Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin. The goals of the calls are to answer questions about the changing election details in the different states and to encourage people to vote. For more information, go to uuthevote.org or go to our website. If you have never done phone banking before, talk to someone who has. It's surprisingly easy and rewarding, this year more than ever. The crises of 2020 demand our response to the central question of our time. How shall we live together? As people of faith and values, our response calls for a new moral vision, a California where everyone, no matter our race or place, can truly belong and thrive. We also believe in mercy, second chances, and healing. Pledge to vote for these values in November. It's easy to make that pledge. On your cell, text SCF-ICUC to 40649 to find out how. For the most current and reliable information on the COVID-19 virus for our area, go to the website for your county public health department or the state of California. You can find information and links on our church website. On October 20th, Riverside County moved back into the more restrictive Tier 1 or purple tier of the governor's 4-tier plan towards reopening. That means churches, along with many other businesses and organizations, must shut down indoor operations. This status will be reviewed again in 3 weeks by the state. We will continue to keep you updated on Sunday announcements and on the website. The monthly UUCR newsletter will come out the first of every month by email and per request by postal mail. If you have something you would like covered or that you want to write, let Dinah know at ramblingrose22@yahoo.com or call or text her at 909-645-2885. Our church fall congregational meeting is in 2 weeks, Sunday, November 1st at 12 noon. The primary purposes of the fall meeting are 1, approval of revisions to the budget, and 2, selection of the nominating committee. Anyone is welcome to attend the meeting. However, in keeping with our bylaws, to vote, you must be a general church member for not less than 90 days and have made the minimum contribution of record to the operating fund. Please speak with a member of our board if you have any questions. That's Lee Greer, President, Bill Rowe, Vice President, Dinah Rowe, Treasurer, and General Members Pat Kawunder, Finn Beecher, and Avery Burrows. Notice we are missing a secretary. If you're interested and have been an active member for at least 90 days, please let a board member know. We have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle, and the second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. Let us acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional territories of the Maranga, the original people of this land. who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. In honor of the Maranga people, we, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Making Aspirations Real by Ben Sule. We light this chalice, the symbol of our faith, knowing that this morning, many others across the land and around the world are doing the same. For us and for our far-flung kin, it is a light of peace, of justice, and of love. But without work, these aspirations flicker out as soon as the candle is extinguished. Let us all join together to accept the challenge of doing the hard work that makes these aspirations real. Our next hymn is Spirit of Life. Please rise in spirit and join us.
Spirit
And now Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer, will speak with us about sharing our treasure.
Good morning. This portion of our service is how we fund all that we do to care for our congregation and our beloved historic church, and to ensure that when we are able to safely reopen again, we will be here to welcome you all back. A reminder that even though the church is not allowed to reopen at this time, the church expenses continue. Just a few of the expenses which are ongoing are utilities, insurance, and the security service. Our administrator, Robert, pays the bills and answers inquiries to the church, plus other administrative duties as needed. Our accountant, Laura, has pointed out that the church income is down, so please make sure your pledge is current. You can mail your pledge and donations to the church office, and again, please no cash. Our church office address is shown here and will be available later in this program. Another good way to support our church is to purchase Stater Brothers cards for your grocery shopping. This also earns our church a percentage. Please contact me or the church office to purchase Stater Brothers cards, and we can mail them to you. For those of you who have purchased Amazon gift cards, another way to help us is when making purchases through Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com. Be sure to have the word smile and choose Universalist Unitarian Church as your charity. We receive 0.5% of the qualifying purchases, and by using an Amazon script card, we receive a percentage from both. I will be taking orders for script cards again as the holidays approach. These gift cards make good gifts to put in your holiday cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Our next hymn is From You I Receive. Please rise again in spirit and join us.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Our contemplative reading this morning is O Deep Mystery of Our Lives by Sheldon W. Bennett. O deep mystery of our lives, voice in our hearts and light in our minds. In the joyful freedom of our fellowship, we are here together as adventurers called forth in spirit, men and women, moving, yearning, questing, pushing the limits of our lives outwards to what is more loving and just, more beautiful and true. Here in this meeting house, this place made holy by the memories, the aspirations, the purposes and ideals of those before us, we would be inspired by their example. These were women and men of vision. These were people of spirit. We here today are also people of spirit. We too are struck in awe before the great mystery of the cosmos. We too are powerfully moved by a deep concern for our world and our care for one another. The Spirit moves also in us as a free religious community joined in a common covenant of aspiration, commitment, and hope. May ours be a faith that is more than just beautiful words and high ideals. May ours be a faith of vitality and commitment, a faith that burns in our hearts and blazes in our minds. May ours be a faith that shines to the world as the light of deeds and the witness of actions. O source and spirit of our lives, may we respond boldly to your call to adventure, for justice, for love, and for joy. Amen. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. And now, I welcome Bonnie McFarland to read to us the words of the Reverend Scott Alexander.
At one point in her novel, Fly Away Home, American writer Marge Percy has a mother say of her daughters, the girls had been raised Unitarian Universalist, which seemed a nice, sensible compromise between having no religion at all and having to lie about what she believed. Enough religion to be respectable, but not enough to get in the way. Ouch, that hurts. It hurts if, like me, you are proud to be Unitarian Universalist, UU, and strive to be serious about your own religious life. But whether we like it or not, this is precisely what many people from other faith groups think of us. Remember the old jokes? Question, what is Unitarian Universalism? Answer, a way station between Methodism and the golf course. Question, what do you get when you cross a Jehovah's Witness with a Unitarian Universalist? Answer, someone who knocks at your door for no particular reason. The oldest down east Maine fisherman asks another, Unitarian Universalist, what's that? To which the other drawls back, well, best I can figure it, that's someone who has no principles and lives by them. I used to laugh when someone told jokes about how laid back and lax we Unitarian Universalists are about our religion, but I'm not laughing anymore. I've stopped laughing because I realize how terribly important it is for me to take my religious life seriously. As I reach midlife and approach my 50th birthday, I find myself increasingly compelled by life's vast spiritual questions and pressing ethical demands. I've stopped laughing because I believe with all my heart and soul, this troubled world desperately needs the compassionate and saving vision of Unitarian Universalism. I believe people, millions of people of many different cultures and backgrounds, need this transforming faith. I've stopped laughing because we can no longer allow ourselves to be marginalized, ridiculed, or dismissed. Unitarian Universalism will never realize its great potential and mission unless we are, in both reputation and reality, serious religious people. Will you join me now on a journey to explore what it means to get serious about your Unitarian Universalism? We must begin by acknowledging that we UUs are largely responsible for our reputation as the lightweight or soft religion. My colleague Bill Miller puts it bluntly. For too long, we have not taken ourselves seriously. We have offered a haven for those on their way out of institutionalized religion. We have demanded little and received the same. Too many of us have actually espoused the notion that we can believe anything and still be a Unitarian Universalist. We have resisted the strictures imposed by form and structure and embraced a laissez-faire spirituality that has commanded the respect of nearly no one. Stephen Carter, in The Culture of Disbelief, asserts that our society as a whole encourages individuals not to take their religion seriously. In contemporary American culture, religions are more and more treated as just passing beliefs, almost as fads, rather than as the fundamentals upon which the devout build their lives. What this culture says is, if religions become inconvenient, give them up. If you can't remarry because you have the wrong religious belief, well, hey, believe something else. If you must go to work on the Sabbath, it's no big deal. Just take a day off. Pick a different one. If you can't have a blood transfusion because you think God forbids it, no problem, get a new God. And all through all of this trivializing rhetoric runs the subtle but unmistakable message: pray if you like, worship if you must, but whatever you do, do not on any account take your religion seriously. This attitude exerts pressure to treat religion as a hobby. I have been a Unitarian Universalist minister for nearly 25 years. In every congregation I have served, there have been people for whom Unitarian Universalism seemed little more than a casual convenience, an occasional hobby, a peripheral part of their lives. This reality was driven home for me when a parishioner in New Jersey told me that he liked the church because it's an interesting and entertaining place to be on Sunday morning when I'm not away skiing. Other ministers and denominational statistics have painted the same sad picture. Far too often, we have been a low participation, low expectation, low commitment religion. But something new is stirring in our movement. The baby boom generation is now flocking to UU churches looking for a serious, spiritual, transforming, ethical religion. There is a hunger for Unitarian Universalism that gives and expects much. But as we try to respond to this demand for serious religion, we bump up against the casualness that has defined us in the past. Regrettably, many people used to be attracted to Unitarian Universalism because it seemed the religious path of least resistance. I will never forget the long conversation I had with a man following his life into a congregation I was serving. He was having trouble understanding the Unitarian Universalist way of religion. A lapsed and angry Roman Catholic, he did grasp the freedom part about Unitarian Universalism, refusing to impose any dogma or moral absolutes upon individuals. He felt great to be liberated from all that encrusted orthodoxy. But having been raised in a church where beliefs were imposed from above, not nurtured from within, he couldn't grasp how UUism like any serious religion, continually challenges each person to careful, authentic, compassionate, and responsible living. With more than a little sarcasm, he said to me, "Hey, this religion is great. It's a cakewalk, a Sunday walk in the park. No dogma, no catechism, no confession booth, no eternal damnation or sin. I like this. If I join this church, I just lean back and believe whatever I want to." No matter how I try to explain what a demanding, disquieting, lifelong journey it is to be seriously on the Unitarian Universalist path, this guy just couldn't get it. Like so many come-outers in our movement, he fixated on our freedom. Thank God at last, a church where I don't have to pretend to believe all that stuff I don't believe. He missed altogether the haunting challenge and demanding tension written into the fourth principle. Ours is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. To be a UU is to spend a lifetime seeking reality and truth, and to live in this world in an ethical and principled way. There's nothing casual or easy about that. My colleague, Charles Magistro, speaks to this point. I'm amused by the view that it's easy to be a Unitarian Universalist. It's as easy to be a UU as it is to search the murky waters of life without sure charts to guide us, or any guarantee that we will find a safe port in which to put down anchor. It's as easy to be a Unitarian Universalist as it is to overcome the natural fear of the unknown and venture forth with nothing to sustain us or save our zest for living and our hunger for new experience and new knowledge. Our way in religion is not the way of ease. We are called to be sailors. For many worlds exist waiting to be discovered, and not the least of them are within ourselves. It takes much persistence, courage, and curiosity to look into our own depths, to come to terms with the twin mysteries of being alive and having to die, to see ourselves in new and larger ways without being dishonest about our limitations. We have only begun to discover our potential. Unitarian Universalism does not give you freedom from religion. It gives you freedom for religion. Here is the great paradox of our faith. Being a UU does not give you freedom to believe anything you want. It gives you rather the freedom to search for and to find those beliefs from which your heart and soul cannot escape. Being a UU means searching for your own defining religious principles and then allowing yourself to be captured by them. Actively practicing our free religion has an inescapable quality about it. The only choice involved is whether or not to take your emerging personal truths and principles seriously enough to actually live them on a daily basis. Once you find your moral and spiritual guidepost, and these evolve over the years, you have no choice but to follow the path that your guideposts define. This faith tradition, which trusts the integrity and worth of each individual, sets you free, not so that you can casually dabble in religion, but so that you can become, as Stephen Carter puts it, intoxicated by an authentic personal faith you cannot help but live, serve, and cherish. For some UUs, this means choosing a particular demanding faith stance, living as a committed Christian or Buddhist or humanist or neo-pagan. For others, finding authentic religious paths is a more eclectic, individual process, gradually evolving a working set of authoritative beliefs and principles. Some of the fundamental religious and spiritual sources of authority they use in this process are the 7 principles articulated in the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, UUA, the hundreds of years of our liberal faith tradition, including the writings and deeds of our UU saints, the traditions, sculptures, scriptures, and ethics of the world's many great faith traditions, most especially those of the Judeo-Christian tradition from which both Unitarianism and Universalism sprang, the consensus of human history and law, the common moral sense and persistent conscience of the individual arising out of his or her direct experience with the world. Many UUs have come out of conservative faith traditions, hurt and angry about the spiritual damage they have suffered at the hands of the religions of their childhood. At first, they use precious spiritual time, space, and energy proclaiming everything they don't believe, all the spiritual practices they no longer need, all the ethical restraints they refuse to obey, all the forms and rituals they can't tolerate. This stage of declaring oneself free of old destructive religious beliefs is both necessary and understandable. One first liberates oneself from what I do not believe before one begins to move toward new, authentic, life-giving beliefs. Although a few UUs get stuck spiritually by wallowing in negative rebellion from their religious paths, most sooner or later begin using the freedom that comes with being a UU to get serious about discovering what they do believe, finding the ethical and moral principles that inform their living and engaging in spiritual practices that feed their souls and energize them for careful, responsible living. Freedom, like the air we breathe, said the philosopher Santayana, is necessary for existence, but is insufficient for nourishment. Freedom, like the air we breathe, is necessary for existence, but is insufficient for nourishment. The UU minister, Jim Brewer, further reminds us, freedom demands responsibility to others and life. It is not enough to be merely disciples of freedom. We must also be disciples of intelligence, sensitivity, understanding, and love. It is not enough to be free from intolerable constraints, but to be free for what is good and true and beautiful. May we realize that freedom is not an end of our religion, but in reality only its beginning. Being a UU is about much more than the opinions and beliefs you hold. It is about the way you live every day. Our tradition has always affirmed that true religion is about deeds, not creeds. UUs are fond of saying, don't tell me what you believe, show me how you live. As one minister pointedly put in his sermon title, if being a Unitarian Universalist were against the law, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Taking your Unitarian Universalism seriously means that your beliefs, principles, and values should be visibly present in your life. People around you should be able to see your religion in all the big and little ways, in what you say and do in relationships, in how you make decisions and solve problems. in the institutions and causes to which you give time and money, in how you care for and serve other living things, most especially other people. As my colleague Robert Swain says, faith is not enough, nor belief. Living what you believe is the principle of honesty put into practice. Unitarians and Universalists over the centuries thus have been active out of all proportion to our numbers in seeking justice, struggling against oppression, and making this a better world to live in. The first dimension of getting serious about your religious life, this unashamed liberal evangelist will tell you, is talking the talk, taking the trouble, when appropriate and respectful, to share with others, your family and friends, neighbors and coworkers, what you religiously believe and why you believe it. But true religion, transforming, saving, compassionate religion, is then about walking the walk. It's about rolling up your sleeves and genuinely living a theology of dirty hands. It's about standing up for principles, living your values, and serving others. Such religion, unlike the lackluster UUism author Marge Percy described, very much gets in the way. It is not convenient to live by one's most dearly held principles. There are many costs and sacrifices that are required. True religion limits, tests, and challenges the individual. It's often anything but fun. For in this broken world of ours, it's hard to serve justice, difficult to work for peace and equality, demanding to live compassionately. The history, spirit, and principles of our UU faith clearly call upon us to grow bigger, more inclusive hearts. Being a UU means daily lending yourself and your soul to the building of a gentler, more humane world. Most often not in grand and glorious heroic feats like those accomplished by great human saints, but in little, everyday ways that have the power to transform our world one caring, responsible deed at a time. Now, please don't be intimidated. Being serious about your Unitarian Universalism means that you simply strive to make a positive, principled difference right where you live, in your little cluttered corner of life, in the everyday ways that count. Our religion, well and responsibly lived, looks like the everyday examples expressed throughout this sermon. Being a UU is not about single-handedly rising to the level of noble sainthood, like UU Clara Barton founding the Red Cross in the Civil War, or Theodore Parker protecting runaway slaves with his loaded pistol, or Reverend James Reed dying in the streets of Selma. It's about being a caring, authentic person, living the beliefs and values that grow in your life's center. For some months, the CLF staff has been discussing a process for helping members get more intentional and serious about their religious life. In the coming months, we will share materials that help you. 1, articulate to yourself what you now believe as a UU member. Remember, beliefs and values can and do change over a lifetime, but at any given point in life, you can clearly express that to which you have loyalty. 2, access the ways in which you already live your Unitarian Universalism. 3, identify new ways in which you want to express your religious and ethical commitments. And 4, take the necessary steps to fulfill your commitments. It is our hope that you will choose to utilize this process for becoming more intentional about walking your Unitarian Universalist walk, to take Unitarian Universalism seriously by visibly walking it and living it. I close with an affirmation from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, North Carolina. Being a Unitarian Universalist means taking personal responsibility for your own religious life. No one will try to remake you religiously. We won't offer you final and absolute truths or rigid dogma. Instead, we will try to provide a stimulating and congenial atmosphere in which you may seek answers, in which you may ask new questions, in which you are free to discover the best that is in you. We reject the idea that a book or institution is superior to the conscience and intellect of a morally responsible person. We affirm that your spiritual well-being is yours to determine.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Bonnie, for that reading that stirring sermon by the Reverend Scott Alexander. Our closing hymn is We'll Build a Land. Please rise in spirit and join us.
We'll
For our benediction, please close your eyes and reach out to each other in your thoughts. Feel the connection between us, the interconnected web joining us as a community, a church family. Our benediction is Go in Peace, Seeking Justice by Reverend Jim McGaw. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace, seeking justice. I mean go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. Amen, shalom, and blessed be.
Thank you very much. That was really great. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.